everyone! In today's video, I'm going to be trying out a new silicone mold making rubber. It's by Let's Resin and it's silicone rubber. I got this from, I believe, their website. I googled it and went that route. I'll put the link in the description area below. The kit cost $35. Well, it was $29 and then like $5 for shipping, so you know, $35-ish for a 21-ish ounce kit. There is 10.58 ounces of the part A. There is 10.58 ounces of the part B. So I think it's a pretty good deal. I'm pretty excited to try it too. My go-to silicone that I use for mold making is by Tab Plastics, and it looks a lot like this. It is a very thin product, it's very low viscosity, and it's translucent like this. Alright, so now we'll go ahead and read everything that's on the bottle itself, as well as all the literature, and then we'll go ahead and get everything set up for our project today. So Let's Resin silicone rubber. There is a part A, there is a part B. The mix ratio is 1:1 by weight. It's non-toxic, no odor, and bubble-free. I've never come across a silicone that has an odor, so I completely believe that there is no odor to it. I don't know if any actually do, I just haven't encountered one. Bubble-free, I absolutely believe that. This is such a thin product that I think that bubbles are probably not going to be much of an issue, but we'll see. Alright, so this is just a little thing that came with it. It's just a thank you little card, which is nice. Up to 20% off on whatever. And then the back it's tips for removing bubbles, and it's just like resin stuff, so it's not really relevant to this, I don't think. So here's the instructions. They're all over the place, really. They're a bit of a mess, but I have the basic idea, so that'll do. Okay, instructions for silicone mold making kit. Mixing ratio, 1:1 by weight or by volume. I'm actually going to try both. I'm used to measuring by volume, but I'm going to measure by weight in this video because it says using the scale to measure is recommended. It's more accurate. And this is what I'm going to be using. It's just a Postal scale. Alright, curing time. Usually it will take 12 to 24 hours depending on the room temperature, air humidity, and mold thickness. My room temperature will be about 76 degrees. There's not really much humidity here. I'm in New Mexico, which is the desert, so that shouldn't be a problem. The surface may feel a little sticky, which is normal. This silicone is food graded, more sensitive than the industrial silicone. Alright, so I work with another product. It's by Tab Plastics. This is it right here. I actually just did a demo and review of it. I've used it for years. This is a very sensitive silicone product. It will not cure properly if you use anything with sulfur in it, and like some silicones won't. Like they'll tell you don't use any like wood stir sticks or anything with sulfur because it will inhibit the cure. Some of them it doesn't seem to matter much, like Mold Star or like Smooth On products. This it absolutely matters. Your project won't cure right if you have anything with sulfur. Alright, if it's sticky on the surface, extend the curing time and wait 1 to 3 days. So it says that the surface may feel a little sticky and that's normal, but then it's like if it's sticky on the surface, then extend the curing time, so that's a thing. Alright, note, please store and use the silicone products at room temperature for better results. If the silicone freezes, please allow it to get down to room temperature before use, so I think up to room temperature. Please keep away from children. The silicone is for craft use only, not for food, but you just said up here that it's food graded, so I don't even know. Do not use the UV resin to fix your items. UV resin will affect the liquid silicone curing. That's interesting. I wonder what it is in the UV resin that will inhibit the cure. Okay, how to clean. If there are any silicone spills, that's like my nightmare, is spilling a product like this. Just try and be super careful about that. Please clean with soapy water or rubbing alcohol. I don't know, I've gotten silicone on my hands before and then I've tried to wash it off with like Dawn soap, you know, which is like a pretty hardcore dish soap, and it doesn't really do much. So maybe next time I'll try rubbing alcohol if I have to like clean my hands or whatever. Alright, step 1. Prepare a container that's not made of silicone material. Set your items into the container. Okay. I will not be doing that. I'll be doing something different. Step 2, pour the part A into the plastic cup. Step 3, pour the part B. All right, we're gonna mix and measure. Mix it up. I see that they're using a wood stir stick here. And like I said, sometimes silicones don't like that because of the sulfur in it, but it's apparently not a problem here. I won't be using a wood stir stick. I have just a metal knife that I use, so I'm just gonna continue with that. Okay, pour the silicone into the container, let it cure, pull the item out, trim the details. I won't have to do that because I'll be using clay as like the thing to stick them in, and there's not really much having to trim and clean. All right, finished, use, blah, blah, blah. So here's the method 2, which I think most people who make molds actually do. I just never did it. I'm happy with the way I go about things. They'll use a sticky tape, lay the tape down, stick a cookie cutter on it, put all of the pieces on the tape, glue around it, pour into it, and then you pop it out and you have your mold. I'll just be using clay. We'll stick the pieces in, we'll stick the cutter in, and it will hold everything in, and you'll see that when we get there. All right, so I guess that's everything relevant to us. Now I'll start to get everything all set up and break down the project we'll be doing, and then we'll jump into it. The project I'm going to be making today is I want to make a soap mold out of this cloud, and I made this cloud out of resin, and I used this plastic. I got this bath bomb at Walmart for $3. I do not recommend getting it. It smells terrible. It doesn't smell like lavender or dreams. But I took the plastic part and I filled it with resin, let it cure, and then put it in the freezer, and then it makes it to where you can pop the resin out of this common plastic packaging. I actually have a tutorial about that. It's super easy stuff, and I'll leave a link for it in the description area below, as well as anything else that's relevant. But yeah, so I'm going to take this cloud and I'm going to make a soap mold with that, and I'm going to use this cutter, and I'm going to use this clay, and this is sulfur-free clay. It's plastilina. You can get it at craft stores. I actually just got this chunk at Walmart today. It costs like $7. It's different from the one I'm used to though. It smells like sweet. It's kind of tripping me out. I don't know. But that's what we're going to be using. There is no sulfur in it, and apparently no gluten. That's what this is right here. I rolled it out with a clay roller, and it's just one of these things. I'll leave the link for that as well. I use it a lot. It just looks like a pasta roller. You can use a rolling pin, you can use a cup, you can use whatever. If you're going to go this clay route, you just need a flat sheet of clay. So I'm going to make the cloud, and then I'm also going to make this little piece right here that I glazed with spray paint, and I got it nice and glossy. I have a tutorial about that as well. I tend to glaze a lot of my pieces with spray paint, and then I make molds with them, and then the mold comes out super shiny. But I'm going to be doing this piece specifically for a reason. So this is a mold of that made with the Tap Plastics silicone that I use a lot. This is made with the Mold Star 15. I'm sure you've encountered a lot of these molds on Etsy. You maybe even make them. It's a cheaper product. It's good for some things. One thing I don't like about it though is that it will dull eventually. Like you see these nice shiny finishes that it has. This one will lose that finish very quickly, especially compared to the Tap Plastics one. So while it costs a lot more, it lasts a lot longer. So I'm going to make a piece just like these, and then I'm going to put them head to head, and I'm going to see how this holds up against these other products, and if it's worth using for something like that long term. You know what I mean? So yeah, these are going to be our projects for today. It's going to be this little piece, and it's going to be the cloud. So we'll go ahead and get ready to measure the silicone. Actually, we're not going to do that. This time we're going to figure out how much silicone that we should use. A question that I get a lot is, how do I know how much silicone or resin or whatever to use for my project? And you can use rice, and we're actually going to do that this time. I was a little bit confused if I could do it though, because it suggests that you measure this by weight, but since you can also measure it by volume, I'm going to do that as well. Well, my concern was with the rice. We're going to pour rice in and we'll get there. Actually, let's get there and then I'll finish my thought. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of paper. I'm going to get these sides folded like so. And I'm gonna take the cutter that I'm gonna be using for this, and then I'm gonna take my piece. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some dry rice, just some dried white rice, and I'm gonna pour it in here, and it's gonna give me an idea of how much silicone I could use. I was wary because I'll be measuring by weight, but since it's a 1-to-1 by volume as well, I think that this will cross over okay. But I was confused. I was like asking my husband, I was like, can I do that? Like, can I pour the rice in and then weigh it? Like, will it translate like that? And he's like, no, because like densities, which makes a lot of sense. So yeah, this is full. I think this is a good amount of silicone to use for this. So I'm gonna get that all situated. Then I'm going to take a measuring cup and I'm going to pour the rice into the cup. And like I said, if this was just a by weight thing, I don't think this would work out, but since it's also 1-to-1 by volume, I think this would be a pretty good gauge of how much we'll need. So we're looking at about 8 ounces of the rice. So I think I'll do, to cover both this and the little piece, I think I'll mix up 9 ounces of the silicone. So 4.5 ounces of part A, 4.5 ounces of part B. So I will get all of that ready to go, and we will start to weigh our product and mix it all up. All right, so the video is actually technically done at this point. I'm doing a little bit of a time jump. I decided to go back and fill these with rice again and then weigh the rice and see if that amount is close to what I would have needed for the project. I mixed up 9 ounces of the formula for the project. I should have gone 10. I technically had enough, but I would have ideally liked to have 10 ounces for this project. I think that would have been ideal. So I'm going to pour the rice in and then I'm going to weigh it and I'm going to see how close to 10 ounces it actually is. You know, I don't see why not. Oh. So I'm just going to do what I did last time. I'm going to fill this one and then I'm going to fill that one too. I should have factored that in last time, so I think that's okay. Yeah, I think that's about good. That's pretty generous. And then I'm going to fill it into this one and make a big old mess. Oh yeah, all right. Okay, I'm going to call that good, especially because some kind of fell around like they did. All right, so now I'm going to do what I did before. I'm going to take out my pieces. I'm going to take out the cutters. And now I'm going to weigh this rice. I don't think that cup is going to be, I don't think that cup's going to be big enough. All right, I'm going to grab another cup, 1 second. All right, I have a bigger measuring cup. I have my scale. All right, we're going to set that to 0. Now I'm going to take my rice and I'm going to pour it in and see how much that weighs. That's actually pretty close. That's 9.65 ounces. That's actually pretty close. So maybe I can just weigh the rice from here on out when I do this again. So cool, good to know. I just figured why not give it a shot, you know? Cool, okay, so back to what we were doing before. Okay, I got a little bit ahead of myself. What we need to do before we start measuring the product is getting the pieces ready to be made into a mold. So I'm going to take my cutter, I have my piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push the cloud into my clay. Really get it in. Now I'm going to take my cutter and I'm going to position it around it. I'm going to push the cutter into the clay as well. And then I'm just going to go around the sides. All right, so that's good to go. It's in there. It has some good space around the sides. So now I'm going to take my other piece, and I'm actually going to handle this with a cloth, a little microfiber kind of lens cleaning cloth, because I don't want to get fingerprints onto the piece. If there's a fingerprint on the piece and then I made a silicone mold with it, the print would just be part of the mold. So same idea, I'm just going to take my cutter, I'm going to push it into the clay. I'm going to get a good seal around the side. That's what that looks like. Alright, so I have my measuring cup. I'm going to be measuring and mixing in that. I have a knife that I'm going to stir up the product with. Turn on my scale. Okay, it's in ounces. I'm going to put my cup on. I'm going to tare it, and then I'm going to do 4.5 ounces of each side. It's a nice thin product. All right, so there's 4.5 of that. Now I'm going to hit the tare button. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other side. So there's now 9 ounces of product in here. And it's actually right at the 8-ounce mark on this cup. Okay, the directions said to mix for about 5 minutes, so that's what I'm gonna do. I don't know, so far it's getting more bubbles than I thought it was going to. And I'll also make sure to keep tabs on how long it takes to cure, if it takes the 12 to 24 hours. Other products I use say that they have a longer cure time than they tend to, so we'll just see what happens. All right, I'm gonna continue to mix off camera. You get the gist of it. This is what it is looking like. I will see you in a little bit. It's been about 5 minutes. It's still pretty liquidy. It's not setting up super crazy. I am now realizing, like, it suggested to stir for this long. I don't think it said anything about what the actual working time is. So yeah, we're just gonna kind of figure it out as we go, huh? All right, so by now this should be mixed up enough. I'm gonna go ahead and say that I think that's the case. Hopefully I have enough. It's 9 ounces, like this amount was 9 ounces by weight, but it's just showing as 8 ounces by volume. We'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, so now I'm just gonna pour it right into the corner of my mold. For like years, people have told me that I should measure by weight instead of volume because it's easier. Now actually doing this, especially on camera, I wouldn't say it's like particularly easier. Measuring by volume isn't hard by any means. So I think do what works for you unless something specifically says to measure one way or the other. Yeah, for years was told. I'm sure there are people who are jazzed that I'm finally doing this, but it's like measuring by volume worked well too. The bubbles are popping pretty quickly on their own, so I feel like a lot of them are going to rise and start to pop, which is great. Okay, so I'm going to pour some into this little mold over here, and then I'll go ahead and just pour the rest. It's still pretty liquidy. It's not setting up super crazy or anything, so that's good. Oh, I'm making a mess. Okay, so I'm going to finish this up off camera. You get the basic idea what's going on. And then I'm going to monitor the cure time. I'm going to monitor, well, I guess just the cure time. And then I'm going to try measuring by volume, and then we'll compare those when all of this is done. So I will see you, I have no idea when, to be perfectly honest. I'll see you when it's time to step back and check all this out. So later. I'm back. It's been about an hour and 40 minutes. It by no means has been 12 hours. And I just kind of wanted to give an update on what's going on. So this, I went ahead and I tried measuring by volume instead of weight. And I just poured some into a measuring cup and I stirred it up. I got about 15 to 20 minutes of working time of pot life that time around. And I probably could have continued stirring it a lot longer. So I would say, like comfortably say that for this type of amount in the 76-ish degree room, you can get 15 or 20 minutes of work time. It may be less if you're mixing more because it heats up quicker, but it's a nice cure. It's not sticky or tacky at all. So I would say I 100% agree that this product can be measured by either weight or by volume. They feel about the same. I feel like I could probably pop these out soon. With this one, it's still a little bit soft. It is smaller. There's one thing I'm curious about. One of my viewers, like the way I even found out about this product is one of my subscribers hit me up on Instagram. When I was still on Instagram, I just canceled it. I don't even have an Instagram anymore, in case you're looking for me there. Like, it's just, I'm not there anymore. But she said that she tried this product and she tried doing the glazing pieces with spray paint technique like I showed in my video. She said that she tried it and then she tried making molds with this product and it didn't set up right. The spray paint inhibited the cure. We did a little bit of problem solving though, and it sounds like she tried to do it when the pieces weren't completely dried. So it may be because the spray paint was still a little bit wet. But when I saw on the directions that it doesn't like something in UV resin, like maybe there's a similar compound in the spray paint that is making it not cure right. I have no idea. We're going to find out. Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take these pieces out and then we can monitor the cure time from that point on. But I feel like they're pretty cured at this point and they can come out. So I'm just going to take them out, dude. Oh yeah, I mean, it feels good. See, this is what I'm talking about with the clay, is you can get a nice clean line. Like, look at that mold. You know, there's not any cleanup involved. With the tape, sometimes the silicone gets under it and you have to do some cleanup. But yeah, with this, you really don't. All right, so I'm going to go around. I'm just going to kind of take my time and try and coax this out a little bit. These bigger molds can be a pain in the butt. Alright, so that's what that mold is looking like. Whew, it took a while to get it out of this thing. It is always kind of hard with like the bigger cutters like that. But that's a good looking mold. It feels pretty cured. Like I said, I'm going to leave it for some more time. But yeah, as of now, I feel like it can honestly like be used. The inside is nice and fully cured. All right, so now we're going to do this one and I want to see what that inside feels like because I'm wildly curious. That nice clean line. Yeah, that's cured just fine. The spray paint is not an issue. It was that the spray paint was wet in that situation. Yeah, that inside feels fine. Cool. So I'm going to leave these. I will come back and check on them in 12 hours and kind of compare and contrast how they feel. This one does feel a little bit tacky still. But yeah, so we'll come back in 12 hours. I will see you soon. It's been a little over 12 hours now, and I took the soap mold and I actually put some soap in it, and we're going to pop that out and see what it looks like and see if there were bubbles in the mold itself. like how all that looks. I think it's going to be pretty smooth. I don't think there's going to be any micro bubbles along the sides, but we'll find out. This is the piece that I tried measuring by volume instead of weight, and they feel the same. They're fully cured. They feel the same. They feel nice. It's a nice product. I would use it again, I think. So with these, I made another one of these little oval pieces that I'm going to test against the other molds. And it's just because the one that I made in the video, like the back is kind of gross. And the back is kind of gross because I didn't know how long I should have stirred the silicone. The last time I tried a new translucent silicone, like new to me, it thickened up super quick. So I think I was a little bit afraid of that happening. Once I figured out that the work time is pretty decently long, I made another piece and I actually put the silicone through a vacuum chamber because I had time to do so. That's by no means a thing you have to do. It's just the thing I did this time. So yeah, this is just gross because it wasn't fully incorporated. I could have mixed the silicone more. I didn't make enough, so I was like scraping the sides. Yeah, so that's whatever. I made a new one. They feel the same. This is the one I'm going to be using. All right, so with all that said, let's go ahead and pop out this and see what it looks like. Yeah, that looks really good. I don't see a lot of problems with bubbles along the side. There's a few. It might have just been from the soap itself though, because it feels super smooth in here. Yeah, that's what that looks like. Yeah, it looks good to me. I think it was just bubbles in the soap. It's not bubbles in the mold. Cool. So, final thoughts. Would I use this product again? I totally would. It was a good price. It was easy to work with. You could measure by volume or by weight. There's a long work time. Yeah, I would 100% use this product again. So I do want to give a shout out to my subscriber who told me about the product. Good looking out. And if any of you would like to see me try out a product, you can email me. As I said earlier, I don't have Instagram anymore. I'm just over social media. My email address is in the description area below. Go ahead and give me a message if you would like to see me try out a new product. So yeah. I hope you learned a lot. I certainly did. I hope you have a great day and I appreciate you watching. Bye.